And we're live. Welcome to the G Spot, y'all. It's your girl Gevon, Monique, and
Chris, what's going on?
Chris is joining us, hosting in for Bo Black. We have the lovely Elvis Thao with us today. Thao. You have to correct me, Elvis, if I'm
It's Thao. The H is silent. Thank you.
Thao.
Told you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Chris told me.
Oh, you told her? See,
Yes.
come on.
So welcome to the G Spot. The G Spot is our gathering spot. It's a good spot. It's where we come and support artistry. It's where we come and have free thought and we express love and healing. And of course, there's some aspect of social responsibility.
Oh yes.
We got the backdrop Hollywood, so we're in like we're disappearing. We're doing magic all night. So y'all just flow
Back and
with
forth
us.
from Milwaukee to Hollywood.
There you go.
Y'all killed it. Y'all killed it on that one. I feel like you're more in LA than I am. So it's all right.
Astro traveling, trying to reach you, Elvis. But a quick shout out.
Y'all done took over the visit.
Before we get started. So shout out to our sponsors. If I can get the next screen up. Hold on, sorry. All right. At TY Little Bo Black, Final Cut Multimedia, Protect Their Hearts. Protect Their Hearts is on next week, y'all. Clothing line. They're bringing the organized takeover. G Spot, of course, and then Another Quality Lifestyle, y'all. And then y'all can always check us out at gspotme.com. You'll find this live in 24 hours. You can also find all of our social media pages. So check us out there. But Elvis, it's all about you, not about us. All about you, honey.
It's always about us.
All right.
We the people, right?
We the people, for sure.
Right. It's about all of us. Thank you.
We got this beautiful Hollywood sign in the back, and we're gonna jump right in. Like we're gonna talk about a little bit tonight around Hollywood, acting, that whole lifestyle. We're gonna talk about your artistry and what you do on the side. We're also gonna talk about just culture and how that influences your art, as well as any future projects and things that you're working on. We want to know all about. So again, jumping right into it with Hollywood. You've done a ton of things, commercials, major productions, independent movies and film, and then TV. With that kind of experience, what has been your favorite amongst those different categories?
I'm sorry, your volume is cutting out again. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I heard half of that sentence.
Okay, so you've done a lot of stuff, commercials, major productions, independent film, TV. Like what's your favorite go-to?
What's my favorite what now?
Out of all the industries that you've worked in, what would be your particular favorite?
As for film?
Well, we looking at your bio, it's a few things that you're involved
I'm sorry.
in.
So like your commercials.
I'm getting bad audio again. I'm sorry.
Your commercials, your major productions, independent film, you've done TV. What's your favorite mode to be involved in?
Yeah, no. So, I started as a musician, so music is always my heart.
Oh no, Elvis. So if y'all are watching and joining, Elvis is like in the mountains, honey. Like in the LA, not even in LA. He's like in another region. I think about 30 miles south of Los Angeles. So he is traveling along. All right, Elvis, there you are again. Are you hearing us okay?
Yeah, you hearing me all right?
Yep. But you're frozen now.
Yeah, it keeps.
I'm not really getting y'all right now.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
He needs to be around Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Are you on Wi-Fi? Yeah.
Yeah, I am on Wi-Fi.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, he's on the phone, but he's not connected to it.
Oh, okay.
Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, we hear you. So you were talking about music, Elvis.
All
What
right.
is it
Yeah. No.
about?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's where I started. Where everything began from music. With the stuff that kind of just came with the territory. I wasn't bred in that. I wasn't really groomed into that. Kind of bumped into that accidentally. So I think most, what I take to the grave with me will always be music. That's always my passion. I'm kind of more arrogant on that side. I'm not as flexible when it comes to music. I like it my way or no way, and so it's kind of harder to kind of give up that power, because I see myself as a writer, as an influencer, and things like that. So with film, sometimes kind of gives me that edge. It kind of helps me play other characters that people ask of me. It kind of helps me. It's a little more sacrificial. There's not as much on the creative side, unless I'm producing the films myself, and of course that comes to play. But it's good to give up a little bit of myself to see somebody else's creation come together. But I think sometimes when you're more strict about certain areas, sometimes you gotta it's a different thing. You got to take a hit or whatever it is. So I think film has definitely paid out a lot more, and music kind of just doesn't fall apart, but it's just become secondary. And so film kind of took over my life. It just was what it was. And music I just love with a passion. So what I mean, it's something I'm always do, period. What I mean. I used to think I had to sacrifice one for another, but everything just came aligned, visually, sound, music, storytelling. It's all the art forms just come together. So I think there used to be that anxiety of, which one do I do over the other, and can I, take on all of them, so I became a multi-potentialite, using all my potentials together. So
That's beautiful. Because one of the things I noticed, Elvis, was that you've had a rock band, which was what did we call it? What kind of rock band did we say?
It's bluegrass.
Bluegrass kind
well,
of rock band.
like folky, yeah.
Okay.
Folky.
And then you've also had a rap crew, and you're a rapper as well. And we got a little film. But before we get into that, I want to back up a little bit, because you actually starred in a major production, Gran Torino, which I believe was released in 2009-ish, maybe.
That's
And
right.
Clint Eastwood directed that film, and there was a screenwrite also, that was written. But you also scored a music selection on the soundtrack. How awesome
It
is
all
that?
goes back to the music.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to
Absolutely.
quickly share a quick a little bit of your Gran Torino intro. Let's see.
All right. This is surprising. I didn't expect this. So let's see.
This is going to be, actually, that's not the one we're going to. We're going to go to that one later. But this is something that we found from Mongo Horde. And it looks like a Gran Torino. There's kind of a Hmong documentary on it. And this is a little bit of part one. So
Oh,
we're gonna watch
right,
a
right,
little
right.
snippet. Yeah. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I haven't watched this in a while.
Okay. It's just kind of a trailer, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
I was told not to write this screenplay by a bunch of people because it had to do with a culture that no one had never heard of. It had to do with racism. It had to do with old people. And they said, no one will ever want to do that. I heard that across the board, not to write that script. But if I had listened to that, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. It's about helping somebody out who can't ask for help. And it's about learning a little bit about yourself. It's about redemption.
So we'll just stop it right there. The basis of the movie was that there was a guy, a white older gentleman who was a war veteran, if I'm not mistaken. He had a really nice car, and there was a group of Asian Hmong youth who moved into the area, young people, and they attempted to steal the car to some degree. What was it like to, first of all, Clint Eastwood has this this very dirty, hairy kind of distinctive voice when it comes to him, and it definitely came off in the movie. What was it like to work with him?
Yeah, that clip was actually very intense. I forgot what it looked like. That was pretty dramatic. It's been a while, but no. I mean, he was. It's just strange, you know, like the legendary ness of him. It's just. I remember when we met him before set, you know, he just seemed, you know, I mean, balled up, you know, hunchback, and didn't seem like he can do much. Shook his hand and, hey man, what's up? You know, I just really thought this guy was done. Like, what's he gonna do on film? But once that camera come, man, it's this guy. He's a 12-year-old all over again. He's climbing steps and going crazy. He's directing and acting and telling, you know, I'm like, it's just the whole nine. It just helps to, you know, I mean, he's like LeBron on that field, you know, he's just doing it all. Like he's just manning the whole ship, you know. So it's kind of cool. You know what I mean?
I have a great deal of respect for his work. Chris and I had a conversation before.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, that film was kind of hard for me because it was so racist." Like Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
It bothered him.
Well, I wanted to ask you, relating to your music, because I listened to some of it, and you know, it kind of runs you through a gauntlet of emotions, you know, and but it still ends up at a place of, you know, peace, you know, within yourself. But I know that peace couldn't have come without a struggle, you know. And so relating your music to this actual film, how close do you think the two are with the message that you're sending out in your music and the message from this movie? How close are the 2 points or narratives?
Nah, I mean, see, my music really, you know, moves from all over the place, you know, because when I started, I got into the hip hop game, and then, you know, I picked up the guitar, singing and songwriting, storytelling, and then eventually, you know, more currently, I write for, you know, I'm kind of a more themed concept writer now, where I kind of write for causes, or I write for, you know, I do what they call adaptations. I adapt, you know, film and stories and ideas into music and things like that. So it all comes from all different colors and shapes. And so, you know, there was music kind of like the writer of that film was called Nick Shank, you know. And so there were plenty of songs that, you know, were touchy, were uncomfortable. And, you know, and yeah, I would get death threats and attacks and people, you know, because some of it was, you know, very political. Some of it was very socially conscious. Some of it was just, you know, clap your hands, get together, love your neighbor, you know. So it's kind of like, you know, people expect to see one side of you, but it's kind of like, you know, there's no way to truly blossom and, you know, come into fruition if I'm just one-sided. And, you know, people always see that I'm very multidimensional, you know. So I had an old manager, you know, he passed away. He's from Milwaukee. Mark Shirilla passed away in 2011, just as I was starting my band. And he just always said, man, you know, you're a force to reckon with. People just don't understand what you're trying to do. You know, like he knew me, and, you know, he tried to sell me, you know, as something else versus just my musicianship, you know. And so, I mean, it has a lot to do with that. Even with me here, you know, being in Hollywood, I'm on a mission. You know, it's more than just, you know, we just had a Hmong in Hollywood, you know, panel as well, and you know, I'm telling the public, like, my people out here, we hard as bricks out here. Like, we're not here to just be included. We're not here to just, you know, get seen. Like, we out here to make a statement. We really trying to do something out here. We want control. We want power. We want, you know what I mean? You know, it's not to take down or take over Hollywood in a sense, but it's just, we are just not a mere statistic here. We are a very small community. There's only about 30, 40 of us out here. And the rest of our community, you know, is very disengaged. They don't really know how hard we're fending for ourselves out here. So, you know,
may have the largest population among.
Absolutely, you know, and the thing is, we do a lot in our communities, and, you know, we have our own scenes, we throw our own parties, and we have our own, you know, niche and stuff. But, you know, when it comes to mainstream, we haven't really tapped in. You know, Gran Torino is one of those few films that have engaged us. And so we're still very new to, you know, Hollywood.
Right.
It's easy to do something in our scene, you know, and get a lot of love, but once you break out of that, people are kind of unsure of
Well,
what,
let me
you know,
ask
like.
you this then. Let me ask you this then. How closely does that movie portray the Hmong experience in America?
Right. So that, yeah, no, and that's a great question. I mean, I think, you know, I mean, it's white America. They did what they can. It's more of a Clint film than it is a Hmong film, and I
Okay.
think that's the argument. At the end of the day, we have to know that, and not in a discouraging sense. That needs to be the
Right.
encouragement. Is that we didn't have the power to do what we want in that film, and the portrayal definitely wasn't accurate. But I do understand, you know, it's entertainment, so exaggeration is always, you know, a necessity. But I mean, they did what they knew, and you know, they did hire a Hmong consultant on set to try to get the cultural aspect and all that, you know, as accurate as possible. They came to our events. They really came and tracked us down. One thing I give Clint the most credit for is he actually wanted an all Hmong cast. That entire cast was completely Hmong, and for a group of people who's never acted in Hollywood, they couldn't find none of our people. They actually came to the Midwest to cast us, and so nobody does it. You can go all across the board with all these directors in Hollywood. They'll use, you know, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, all types of Asians just to play in, you know. But this was one of a kind film where he came and he's like, you know, he wanted the real thing, and that's kind of what's genuine about Clint. You know,
So
he doesn't like makeup.
This next clip we're actually going to show is, I believe the song is on the soundtrack. Is it Mong Tuag Ninti? How do you pronounce it?
It's called Mont Twenty, and the chorus is Jata Haushia. And I'm going to tell a little story about that, but let's go ahead and play it. It's funny because it's definitely got some Milwaukee history, and it definitely went beyond the Hmong community. And so I definitely want to talk about that. Right.
All right. Yeah, let's get into it. All right. So we're going to share this next little clip is hold on a sec, folks. Whoops. Sorry. All right, just a second. So Elvis, how about you tell us a little bit about the song as I try to prep this stuff on the side.
Yeah, so you know, the chorus says Jata Haushia, and that just means like, you know, keep your head high. So it was kind of a song to unite our people. You know, a lot of you know, as what happens in y'all community, you know, we go through a lot of gang violence and things of that nature too. You know, among crime and things of all, you know, I mean, we just seen terrible things. So we was just one of those rap groups that, you know, came out with a more positive message, you know, in that sense. And as we wrote this thing, you know, it was for our people, and all of a sudden we started performing it publicly, man, and people were catching on. They didn't know how to say "drop the whole shit," so they were just saying "drop the whole shit," and that's and so I'm performing to the brothers, man. You know, shout out to Gorilla Promo, you know, Fidel and Gideon and those boys, because they're the first ones that really attracted to that song.
Yes,
I remember we opened up for the Zulu Nation, and you know, Bambaataa had us up, Africa Bambaataa had us up there. We had our you know, because we don't have a flag or a soil or a country. We're nomadic indigenous people. You know, we you know, we don't come from anywhere. We've been migrating, persecuted all our lives. You know, that, you know, it's a long history, which I'm not gonna get into. Y'all can research us. But we have this hand sewn quilt, you know, that we wave around like a flag. It's the only really thing that symbolizes us. You know, as far as
we're gonna show
as far as something symbolic.
Yeah. And this must be what you're referring to. right. So that seems to be, first of all, there was a huge Hmong following with this. You've been able to perform in front of other national artists.
Right.
A big deal, like a huge big deal. But tell us more about this flag that you.
I mean, I first want to give a shout out, rest in peace to, his name is, we call him Big Daddy Mojo. He's the one that started the whole group. He passed away about 2 winters ago. We wouldn't be here without him. He's the one that found me, when I was 17 years old. He was the one out at the clubs performing, in his 20s. And, he just rose me from the ashes. He's my, he's my leader, my teacher. He's the guy that got me here. That's just how it is sometimes, you know what I mean? Those who rise you up eventually, leave before you, and it is what it is. But shout out to Big Daddy Mojo, man. I wish I showed you the track we did for him. It's called Legacy. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Make sure you do.
But right, but he, you know what I mean? We've done this for 10 years, and he got really sick eventually, and I had to go on and, on my own and, just tackle the industry, in my own light. But, it's him that started everything. But, the flag is it's a hand sewn quilt by our ancestors. It shows, because if you don't know, we were American allies in Vietnam. This is a hidden story that the people in America don't really talk about. We instead of the Vietnam War, they call it the secret war, and instead of a Hmong army, they called us a secret army, and so we were kind of their secret operation to maneuver them through the Vietnam War, and so. With that, we became American allies. We saved all your grandparents and uncles. We were the ones sitting back dying. We went through a 30-year genocide because of that war, because our involvement with America and the Viet Cong was wiping us out. So it was it was a dirty thing. So those quotes were kind of our story cloths. A story cloths, a war and migrating through the mountains and, seeking refuge through the Mekong River across the Thailand. And we eventually dispersed as a people throughout throughout the planet. So we're all scattered, Canada, Australia, France, China, Latin America, etc. So it was an atrocious war. General Vang Pao, rest in peace to him as well. That guy was guts, he did his thing and he got us across and we're here now. So
Chris, you're a musician.
Yeah, I just find it amazing how a lot of our stories, for oppressed people throughout the entire world, how a lot of our stories are similar, and the struggles that we've been through, they mirror each other, and it shows through our music, it shows through our passion, and a lot of times people, they question why people of color are so into, so much into entertainment. And it's more than just it being entertainment for commercial use. It's an expression. It's
absolutely.
Like it contains the history of our people, of that particular time, and that's what's important. We're like walking libraries. So I appreciate that. I wanted to talk about what you talked about with the Vietnam War and why so many Hmong have immigrated to America, and during the 90s we saw a huge influx of Hmong coming to Milwaukee, by itself, particularly on like the west side of Milwaukee. You want to speak to that and speak about the reason to that?
Well, I don't know that entire history, but I will say I can express my personal experience, and I'm gonna say this with what I just told you about the story. Just let's put it this way: it's not in public school curriculum. There's no written history of any of that, right?
Yeah.
All of that is oral history. We talk about it, and we have Hmong authors now that write about it. But it's not really in the history books. They swept it under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it, right? They gave us a Hmong Law Recognition Day, woohoo! But it's like, hey, great, thank you, whatever. But and they wouldn't allow our general to even be buried in Arlington when he led that he led that war, right? They denied him. But with that said, I grew up, with the pressures of having to carry on, you know, that kind of legacy and traditions of, you know, Hmong culture. And, you know, as a new American here, the first, the firstborn here and things like that, it was like, you know, there was all this other competition and, you know, trying to be accepted and, you know, in my personal life, you know, school and, you know, sports and all this other stuff. And it's like, man, you know, there comes a point where you kind of abandon your own, and you kind of, you know, that kind of at some point becomes self-hatred, right? And things like that. So, you know, with us being here, a great thing, you know, is that we're able to relate. And actually, I didn't find myself, you know, as far as culturally, until I found, you know, another culture. And that's when, you know, hip hop happened, and I started digging into old records, you know, and I picked up the KRS, I picked up, you know, the Public Enemy, and you know, and then I started, you know, learning Black history, civil rights, and things like that. And then I'm like, wait, who am I? So you have to understand, I didn't grow up educated as, you know, as Hmong individual. So it took me to learn and study from another culture. You know what I mean? Because it's all the universal teachings, you know. And that's what and the funny thing is, I try to bring that back to my people, and it's like it's hard because they tend to reject it or they don't understand, you know, because our histories, you know, we don't trace all the way back to, the Middle East or Africa and things of that nature. When historians definitely say we do, you know, but our people, we only go as back as Laos or, you know, the war in China and things like that. But, you know, historians trace us back to Persia. They trace us as, you know, in Africa and the lost tribe.
I'm already knowing. Yes, sir.
Right. So with that, when I try to give my people the universal teachings, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like they don't really know how to accept that because we've been grown to learn it a certain way. And so, you know, sometimes when I bring up Black issues, like, oh, that's their fight, or, you know, it's a Black issue. It ain't got nothing to do with us. I'm like, well, if only you knew how much tied and woven it is to their story, so ours as well. You know what I mean? And so
that's what I was going to ask you, if the similarities between the cultures is what, you know, what caused you to kind of identify with the.
Absolutely, because, you know, again, I picked up on, you know, a lot of you know, y'all leaders. I mean, come on, it was, you know, just MLK Day yesterday, right? And so, I mean, I used to dream too, but, you know, when I talk about MLK, I'm like, y'all forgot that he died a day after he made his mountaintop speech, right? So, you know, and so. When I was digging up like the Marcus Garveys, right, the Noble Drew Ali's, Elijah Muhammad's, you know, and the Huey Newtons and things like that, those were things that I started applying. It was more than just me, you know, dreaming about, you know, who I was and who I wanted to be. It was, you know, the concept of do for self, right, and start, you know, and building your people, your culture, you know, things like that up, and you know what I mean. Whatever you believe in, whether it's separatism, nationalism, whatever the case may be, but you know, in that concept, I took heed to exactly, you know, how to apply these teachings, you know, and I may not be all the way there. My education may not all be correct, but, you know, I mean, there's this specific manifestation, you know, that comes with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and our General Vang Pao, he was teaching the same thing.
Yeah.
Doing for self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Antonio Morales says, glad to see you're doing big things in LA, and it was a pleasure working with you on the set of Gran Torino.
I'm telling you, what's up, man? Waiting on you to get out here too.
What up, Antonio? One of the things I admire about you, Elvis, is that you pretty much do whatever the fuck you want. Like if you feel it, you do it. You know,
well, I should not.
Art, exactly. And I so admire that. So this folk rock band that you have, we actually have a clip of that too. Because you're singing. You're not only a rapper, you're a singer too. Like, big deal. Hello.
Yeah, and people thought I was crazy, you know, like, you know, merging and like moving and shifting. And I'm just like, man, I'm reinventing myself. I'm doing, you know, a lot of different things. And like I said before, the concept was that now I'm more universally inclined, you know, to not only bridge certain sounds in music and film and tell different stories. That has a lot to do with me, you know, on the social forefront too, because I have that ability to weave all these different genres of music together. What do you think I'm doing globally? then it helps me to kind of merge all the cultures and all the people and all the, social issues together as well. So it's kind of, they both kind of complement each other the way, because everything's habitual, right? Once you establish something habitually, it becomes relevant in all areas of your life. So because I was able to do that through music, now I have that. And again, we're talking about that, down the line. I mean, I do run a nonprofit in 30 different countries across the globe, predominantly Africa, and things like that as well. And I'm working on a Vietnam project right now, or somebody hired me. His name is Jason. I'm going to work on a Vietnam project right now.
Well, we're definitely going to talk more about that, but we're going to check out Elvis back in the day.
Oh boy.
Doing his singing thing. So Elvis and the Creatives, everyone.
Yes. Which one did you choose?
And the Creatives. So like, did you just wake up one day and was like, yo, like I feel like
you got the rehearsal?
Yeah,
that's fun. That's fun. You did the rehearsal
raw and live.
No, it was. I knew, that I'm always reinventing, and that was actually a very big step, and the funny thing is, people felt like I was doing it correctly, because and what I mean by that is when you cross genres, sometimes it's kind of like doesn't really work, right? Let's say if you're an athlete and the Damian Lillards and stuff, and you try to get into music, people might respect it, but it doesn't really, it doesn't really take off. Lil Wayne moves into rock from rap, right? It like the sounds don't really, particularly merge. Dylan goes into electric. I mean, whatever it may be, it was like people was kind of like they were kind of impressed that I was able to just do a complete 180 to the other end and still give that exact sound. And so I guess it was like night and day, I guess when it comes to my folk stuff and my rap stuff, because normally, even whatever, Hootie and the Blowfish went from, from alternative to like R&B, right? But you still felt the elements, and so I think that's when I knew was like I can do a lot more. And if you didn't know, in that record, there was actually like a total of, it was a big old collaborative. Like all the best Milwaukee musicians. I mean, we had turntables to banjos, to vibraphones, to brass, trumpets, harmonica, and I mean, there's like 20 different instruments all together in that sound. And so that was a blessing to do. I'll be honest, the record didn't really go too far, but it was a schooling that I got. I feel like I got the right education from that. It built me into a producer, even more, and actually merged into producing films, because a lot of the music producers that I was working with, it's like you have this whole directive persona to you. Why aren't you making movies? And I'm like, well, I learned from the best. I mean, Clint Eastwood, why not? Right. So I started putting the pieces together, and then, then I got into film, directing and stuff like that. So
talk to us more about that, because were you working on a reality show at one point?
Yeah, man, I got a great one coming up. But so I moved to Chicago. There wasn't a whole lot going on there. I just knew it wasn't really my place. I spent 4 years there and it felt good. I did attend some courses at Columbia College, so I definitely got a film background there, and I shot a reality show, shot a short film It was called Street Boy, based off a musician in Detroit called Sixto Rodriguez. I still want to take that somewhere with me. But I shot a show. I call it American Idol on Wheels. And so it's called In Search of the Great American Street Musician. So what it was a, a passionate group of filmmakers going out to the streets and searching for music out there. So we didn't wait for the stage and judges, and there wasn't this real celebrity appeal to it. It was raw, it was gritty. We was going out to the streets and building backstories and helping y'all get to know the struggling musicians. And so and that's a work in progress. We're in post production already. It just took me a while to transition with the move from there to LA. So I just took all my ideas and said, you know what, I'm shooting straight to Hollywood and I'm gonna get these things sold out there. So Chicago kind of became my, my middle ground there. I learned a lot just from Chicago. So I treat that definitely as my education stage there that prepared me for LA.
You spoke earlier about your nonprofit.
Yeah, the nonprofit's called Miracle Comeback. It's actually our headquarters is there in Milwaukee. The founder is Bilal Marcus. He actually connected with me through music because he wanted songs about his son, and so we started writing music about his son's story. His son was ran over by two SUVs. Was announced dead at the crash site. How he had a 95% chance of living. It took 46 pints of blood to get him back, and he was actually on his feet in 2 weeks, man, back in school, sharp, doing better than he did before, changed his life, changed his family's life, and it became a miracle story. And so what happened was he started holding blood drives and bicycle safety and things like that, and it just started rippling. He started reaching out to people in different countries, and all of a sudden people wanted to be ambassadors. They really were, we got athletes and other, local celebrities and stuff telling their survival stories. And it just kind of, we're not even a 501c3 yet. It's more of a movement than anything. But I mean, they're holding blood drives and different types of events, feeding kids and all that kind of stuff, and it just expanded to 30 countries. And so it's kind of crazy. Miracle Comeback is what it's called. So
Miracle Comeback.
So he took me as a co-founder and he said, let's let this thing take off. And so it kind of just, worked out where, yeah, like I said, in the Far East, Indonesia, Philippines, we're in areas in Africa, Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria, Venezuela and Latin America and stuff like that. And we're not where we want to be yet. It's hard to do this while we're funding ourselves and, and the distance and all of that. But we're hoping it comes together soon. So please look out for that,
Elvis, you're an interesting person. You delve into a lot of different artistic ventures. Your ideologies are a little bit eccentric, if you will, or out of the box thinking. Even
don't hate me for it, please.
Even some of the beliefs that you have, even in
some
of the religious kind of things that you study and listen to. Where did that come from? Did one day did something resonate within you? Was it Hollywood? Like what shaped and molded you? Because you're a very different person.
Well, I will say I don't plan on apologizing anytime soon, first of all. But second of all, I don't know. I mean, I think I learned very early on when I picked up the mic that there was something to that relayed power. And in that sense, I understood early what power and control was. When the mic and the stage was in my presence, it was, it just became really easy as far as all eyes on me. Throw your hands up in the air, sip your drink, smack the person next to you, blah, 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 right? It just became easy.
Microphone
and I was like,
commander, baby.
Right. And so I think early on that kind of resonated into other areas. And I'm like, I started to understand systems because I started seeing the corruption in the music industry and showbiz and things like that. And if I said, if this is the kind of power we possess, or if this is kind of the power that people want to take from us or whatever it may be, from suppressing our specific skill sets, you know, or to speak out or whatever the sense may be, what more is going on under the surface. And because I understood the industry, you know, a lot more, you know, I think it was easier for me to kind of connect that to what's going on in the world as well. So, um, and, and I'll be honest, you know, like how did I go from something to nothing? And so, that gray area was what it was kind of, you know, a mystery to me, because I'm a small dude, you know. I mean, you know, I'm 135.6, right? I'm nothing impressive, right? No one's gonna choose me. No, seriously, no one's gonna pick me in the middle of a crowd like that. You know, that's the dude. It's like, nah, no, I'm not. So, you know, I grew up as that, you know, that little guy, right? The little guy that nobody paid attention to, that little guy that just didn't matter. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, there's always in my life been a conviction that I don't think will ever go away. I think I'm better about it, and I think, you know, I take care of myself really well, and I think I do enough to where none of those things matter anymore. But I think not only that, but with just everything, all the cruel and vile things that I've seen, you know, out there, I do have a strong conviction, and maybe that's what drives me. But at the same time, you know, I never planned to be safe or warm. Or I never planned to be, you know, like I designed my life like this, you know. I'm the one that chose not to have a family. I'm the one that chose to leave things behind. I'm the ones that, you know, like have to miss all my holidays because I'm booking work and blah blah. And you know, I don't get to see my nieces, my nephews grow up.
And you know what? I think that's the hardest thing for people to do. And
Yes.
what you said, that's just making a decision, whatever it may
Absolutely.
be. You know,
Right.
we hang ourselves on being, you know, incomplacent, you know, or not being able to make a decision and trying to ride the fence. But how you're speaking, you know, when you make that decision, you have to accept the benefits and the shortcomings too.
Absolutely. There's definitely repercussions with it. You know what I mean? I just deal with it, man. You got to keep going.
So is there anything you regret about taking this route?
Absolutely not. The only thing I regret is, you know, myself holding me back. You know what I mean? You know, I think, you know, at some early points in my life, you know, I was the one that was playing small. I was the one that didn't embrace who I was and what I was doing. I was the one that was letting people, you know, depict what my future was or even my present was. And I think, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm the only one that hold me back. The anxieties, things like that, like none of that really matter. You know, I think of it now like, you know what, I want problems in my life. The only way to, you know, I mean, the only way to solve problems is to have problems, right? So I changed my language of like, you know what, yeah, bring it to me, like cool, it's, you know, and I own everything now. I take on everything. You know, I don't run from them anymore. You know, I mean, I look everything in the eye, I face it. Like I accept chaos, as they say. I just don't know if it accepts me, right? As they say. But you know, but I like to live in that now, and it's like because I can be that calm in the storm now. You know, shit don't rattle me no more. So it's like, you know, let's get it. You know, and you know, and I just don't have it anymore. I used to have friends, oh, you lucky you even got a family, you lucky you even got kids. And you know what, I'm tired of those excuses because, you know, I mean, my career need diapers too, you know. My career need diapers too.
Yeah.
No, I straight up. I mean, I have to pay to update, you know, my sites and, you know, blah, blah. Like, I have to be at places all the time. You pick your kids up at school every day. I get it, whatever. But I got to audition every day, too. I'm just as busy. And I'm not saying that to be insincere or unsympathetic. Man, y'all parents work hard. I give it to y'all. Hats off. But just know that I may never get to be that. So there are parts of my life that I have to miss for this. It is a sacrifice, you know.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all that you've done, including musically, you've had the opportunity to work alongside major artists, Kanye West, Ludacris, Pharrell, Black Eyed Peas, and many more. What was that like? And did you ever imagine yourself being in that realm?
At that point, no. I mean, anything I do from this point, like I said, it's all done by design. I'm not gonna act surprised anymore. I think, you know, I worked up to this point. But yeah, I mean, definitely in the early years, you know, some of those guys you know, I met, some of them I didn't, you know. Sometimes you open up, they push you away, and, you know, then they're bringing the artists and you're like, man, I didn't even get to meet them, you know. So it is what it is. Some of them I'm hanging out with them backstage, and that's cool. But, you know, I think the first thing was when, like I said, going back to the Hmong song, Chata Hao, was when I knew the other communities were, you know, acceptive of it. When I knew that it didn't matter what I say, you know what I mean? If other brothers and sisters from other cultures were digging it, that, you know, at that point, it's like, at that moment, it can go any direction. And so when that started falling in place and we were opening for these artists, it just started to make sense more that, hey, man, this thing is you know, diving into something special. And I think all that happened was when we you know, we became we started taking on the Chicago scene. People thought we were crazy because, man, we were out there in the hundreds, man. We were three little Asian boys in the middle of, you know, South Chicago, man. And we, you know, we had a black manager, so she took us in those areas. She took care of us, make sure we were safe. But I mean, we just didn't care. We were chasing the dream. And so, you know, and we didn't have our people with us, you know, like we were trying to get the support from our community, you know, that, hey, you know, like, go to these areas with us, you know what I mean? And not so much for safety, we just want support. But it was like, we were out there alone. We were fending in some of the, you know what I mean, you know, the craziest jungles out there. So
Southside, hello.
Hey, real recognized real.
Yeah.
What is that?
Real recognized real.
Hey, appreciate it.
You don't have those problems when you're genuine.
Hey, I hope that was the case. I appreciate that, you know. And but yeah, yeah, it just kind of started happening. I think I think those intentions are the big thing, you know. It's setting your intentions, committing, and, you know, once you do that, I think, yeah, things just kind of organically happen. So
Before we get out of here, we got two more questions for you, Elvis. The one that everybody's been dying to know. Are you named after Elvis Presley?
I am. However, however.
You got some good suede shoes on right now?
And man, I wish I had a pair. That's my life's mission. Before I die, I need a pair of good suede. No, yeah, named after him because, like I said, my parents just got into the States, so obviously, Elvis had already passed during that time, but his legacy was still lingering. So they just kind of went with an American name. You know, all my life I really wanted a Hmong name myself. And, you know, I believe, you know, I might start making up my own aliases and stuff like that. I might start, you know, we talk about the Land, Air, Water Bureau, right? So, you know what I mean? I might have to detach myself from my birth certificate, and I might have to start renaming myself.
Shout out Land, Air, Water Bureau.
but oh yeah. But my parents were not Elvis fans.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have records, and, you know, there wasn't posters and stuff like that. It was just the name. They saw it in the spotlight and they kind of just went with it. I never even got a full explanation from them. They were just like, yeah. So it wasn't one of those things where it was a fanatic type of thing. It was just more of a, yeah.
But the irony, you know, like, okay, musician, musical talent, so that's there. And
I want to add this in too. And they did not push the arts on me at all. That was definitely an oppression growing up as well. You know, I mean, them Asian parents don't want you to get into the arts at all. You know, that's like like in our communities, that's always been an issue. It's changing now, but, you know, we've always just been, you know, told to stick to things traditionally and stuff like that, you know, like the old school ways. But so it's funny they even gave me a name after an artist, because once they knew I was gonna become an artist, they shunned that completely. So I was like, then why'd you give me a name? So
it's funny how that sometimes ties together, you know.
Hey,
it's the way it works.
Divine intervention.
What's exactly what's next, Elvis? What does the future hold?
I mean, I say it like this, you know, I didn't want to get I didn't get what I wanted in Chicago, you know. I mean, as you know, I've been doing music for years, and I was eyeballing shows like Empire. I was hoping I was on there, you know. My agents were pushing me, castings didn't look at me, and I think that's the thing that comes with the territory, is sometimes our backs are against the wall, you know what I mean? And, you know, sometimes that vulnerability of not being seen, things of that nature. you know, it can take a toll on you. But I know, you know, that my energy can't be focused on things like that. I know who I am, and I know, you know, the type of visibility that I can give to myself and to, you know, my scene, my industry, my people. So the only thing is to really go out and do the work, man. It's just like what we said earlier, do for self. And so I'm not sitting around, even if I'm in Hollywood, I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm not at your doorstep waiting on you to give me something, you know? And so, you know, when there's opportunities and I want to present you something, I'll present you something. When you got an opportunity for me I'll present you something. Well, I ain't a beggar. I ain't out here, you know what I mean, worried about, hey man, Hollywood ain't reaching, no, blah blah. You know, I think a lot of actors get into that, you know, into that feel of emptiness, and it is that in between that I think is most stressful for us, because then we got to figure out how to pay rent, we got to figure out how to, you know, like get gigs, and you know, for me, you know, I just try to put my hands in a lot of pots. I'm working on a reality show right now as well about undocumented Asians, and it's also going to be about different Asian communities throughout the U.S. We ain't talking crazy rich Asians. This is the opposite of that, right? This is the Trap Atlanta version of that, right? So,
Right.
so no, for real, we're going to Indonesia, you know, me, Hmong, Lao, Cambodian, right? Races most of y'all never even heard of, right? And so I want to do a hip kind of savvy, just, you know, dope inner city Asian undocumented series about other Asian communities. Cause y'all know Milwaukee, man. Like y'all see the Hmong and the Laos, you know. And if y'all go to Chicago and Chinatown and other areas, y'all can see culturally how different we are, right? And so, and Hollywood only want to portray the Chinaman. That's all. You know, Akon was talking about how, you know, and I love what he's doing out in Senegal right now. I might even move down there myself. I love the guy, but you know, he talked about how they still make Africa seem like it's the 1900s, like it's African safari with cheetahs and, you know what I mean, spears and stuff like that, and it's just not that. You know what I mean? They scared of you rebuilding in Africa because, you know, we know fear of a black planet, right? So and things of that nature. So he's like, yeah, don't let them fool you. Africa's very rich and it's thriving, and you know what I mean, and the same things y'all doing there we can do here. And so when I look at that, it's the same kind of concept. Like, I'm not gonna let y'all tell my story. You know, y'all still make us look like 1900 China man, like we, you know what I mean, we all illiterate and we, you know what I mean, or we clean cut and rich, and it's just like it's not that. You know, a lot of Hmong people and a lot of people didn't even want to watch Crazy Rich Asian because it didn't relate. It didn't relate. They were like, that film wasn't for our people. You know what I mean? That was them. That's you know, that's them rich Asians. That's, you know, Chinese, et cetera, et cetera. Not to be offensive, but it just didn't hit our people in the same light. So I feel like I got to give them something. So that's one of my new projects. You know, I mean, to give the real American experience of the other side, you know, of what of Asians here in America that y'all don't tell. And so when I'm in Hollywood and markets like Chicago, it's kind of hard for them to fill that out because they don't know what they're gonna get out of me. And so I think that's the difference with me and everybody else, because I don't play to that narrative. So I may lose chances and opportunities, but at the same time, you know, I'm not a yes man. So at the same time, you know, you get me when you get me, and that's it.
And
Otherwise,
you keep your
I ain't waiting for
integrity.
nobody.
And you keep your
Yeah,
integrity.
yeah. I say no to gigs all the time. If it's something phony that don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't get into all that stereotypical stuff. It's like, you're gonna hire me for the right stuff, because the yeses that I do get for me will be more quality anyway. So I'm not worried. So I stay moving.
All right.
Okay.
Clearly, because you're in the car now, ain't you?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to teleport to you, but it's not working.
Oh man, I feel your energy though. No matter what, we're good.
Always. So Elvis, we really appreciate you. We'll have to bring you back on when we try to do more, and when we want to talk to you about all that you're doing as well. Any last minute thoughts, Chris?
Oh no, it's been a pleasure, brother. I love this platform today because it gives us a bigger insight of Hmong Americans, modern Hmong Americans, of course, you know.
Right.
And so I just think that the more that we diversify this platform, the more that we can learn about each other, the more we spread love, the more we grow as a people, you know. So I think that's important. So I appreciate you being on here tonight.
No,
Speaking of which, that's the goal. Sorry.
Right, no, and I appreciate the platform, man. I'm hoping I can get into some of y'all future with the Zoom stuff with the groups and things like that. You know, we can have other discussions.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you know, It's
Most
fun to
definitely.
discuss my career, but you know, a lot of people don't get my personal side, you know, a lot because, like I said, I tend to do things more under the surface, you know, outside of my career. So I don't think people really get to see me on that fashion. I probably said more today than I normally say, you know, in general, because normally people just want to hear my career. So we got a little, you know, social today, which is good because I don't get to share that as much, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a little secretive about that.
And it's very important. Any last minute parting words, Elvis, before we get out of here?
Oh man, I haven't had a interview back from home in a while, so I just want to shout out Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I spent 20 years there, and I'm not gonna lie, man. Although you know it led me to other areas, Milwaukee has been my home. I wasn't even born there, but I spent most of my life there. I still call it home. You know, but man, everybody has groomed me from there. You know, man, from like WMSC Radio Milwaukee, you know, Reggie Brown, Becky Yang from iHeart, you know, V100, Kiss FM, Andy Riggs and those guys. Like I said, man, Taste MCs, Mike McGee, Zulu Nation,
Manager Mike.
Zulu
Shout
Nation. Man, yeah, Ken Kamanzi, man, Public Allies, right? Everybody from the Philanthropy Incubator Project. I just want to give my shout outs because I mean Milwaukee just taught me so much, you know. BB Adele. I mean, I don't know. My foundation just grew there. A lot of people always gave me love there. There's guys that I don't see around anymore, and I think of them a lot, you know. And there's guys that I still talk to, guys that still see me. You know what I mean? Craig McNeil. You know, shout out to Doc B, New Styles, Record Breakers, No Request. I mean, God,
shout out.
The list goes on. Milwaukee's my heart, straight up.
And we appreciate that. Milwaukee sometimes gets a very bad rep, but I think there's so many beautiful people here, so many people doing positive things, artistic people, providing and trying to make the community better. So it's definitely,
you know, right. And, you know, I do still reach home and tell people to, you know, like, man, y'all got to get out of here. Y'all got to leave, man, go do other things, blah. But, you know, that's just professionally, you know. I mean, I think on the spiritual level, you know, personally, like, you know, there a lot of me still misses Milwaukee, you know, but, you know, at the same time, you know, there could be other areas as well, you know, for some more people back home that, you know, that I want to see do other things, you know. It's not so much leaving Milwaukee because of, you know, anything, you know, bad with the city, but it's also, you know, I still see friends at home doing the same thing. It's like, get up and do something, you know. But other than that, Milwaukee's my foundation, definitely.
Well, we're going to try to follow you down there where Akon is building that whole new beautiful city. And
we need to do it here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need to do it here.
And we can do
a
that
nation
too.
within a nation.
Hey.
Let's get it.
Yep.
We can do it here too.
Let's build.
Thank you, Elvis. Thank you.
Let's talk more. Hopefully I'll see y'all around sometime soon. I'll be home very soon. I'll give you a call. And man, we need to build. We need to build.
Absolutely.
In all facets.
Always. And we have to continue doing that. So we appreciate your time. We will see you soon, and we'll definitely get you back on to talk to us again.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Peace, love, and harmony.
Peace.
All right.
All right.